So here we are, stage 10 of the elemental dungeon versus the fire. But wait a minute, what's going on there? There's poisons on that unit. However, we don't have any poisoners. How is that the case? Well, stick around because we're going to talk about a new unit that I built that I truly believe is going to change how we decide to incorporate certain units in our composition. What's going on, everybody? It's Childish. We're back at it again with another video for Might and Magic Elemental Guardians. Today, this video, I've been waiting to make for like 2 weeks now, even before I went on that Barcelona trip, but I'm finally excited to get the time to make it for you guys. Because again, if you are like me, you are just having a ton of fun with all these different creatures, all these different mechanics, and this is one that has such a unique mechanic. I know that by the end of this video, you guys are going to definitely have some fun with them if you have them. So today we're going to be talking about the Frost Ravager, aka the Water Juggernaut. He is a 3-star water creature that has one of the most unique mechanics in the game as a passive. We're going to go ahead and take a look at his kit across the board. We'll take a look at the build that I currently have, and we'll talk about where you could potentially use him if you do decide to, if you have him already, okay? So first off, he is a defender, so he's generally going to be a tanky-ish type of unit. We're thinking, when we think of defender, we're thinking that tanky type. But however, when it comes to his kit, okay, the bread and butter of this unit is the third skill, okay? Sheltering Haze is a passive, okay? If your HP is 70% or above, you're going to be able to protect yourself with a crystalline shield, bouncing back incoming negative effects onto the original caster. And if the HP is below 70%, you increase your own critical chance as well as your attack. So let's take this step by step. This is a passive, so these abilities are kind of built in depending on where the HP is at. Crystalline Veil, aka the mirror buff. This is going to allow you to push any harmful effects that you get from your opponent onto your boss. So not only are you mitigating, quote unquote, mitigating those buffs like an immunity per se, but you're bouncing them back. Now, I've done a little bit of testing throughout the past week or so, and despite the fact that I have a very, very low amount of resistance, amount of accuracy, it seems to be that this passive is working as stated, right? Every single time they provide a harmful effect, it's bouncing it back, okay? So now, again, when we talk about what kind of harmful effects we're talking about anything we can. As you guys saw in the Fire Dragon run, the Elemental Dungeon, we were bouncing back poison effect. In the Water Elemental Dungeon versus the Dragon, I was able to bounce back freeze attacks. Versus the Wasteland's Nightmare stage, the boss, you guys already know about that, he has an opportunity to stun, I believe, on his third wave. I was able to bounce back that stun effect, and that stun actually went through. One of the things that you guys have been seeing since the recent release of the last changes when it comes to the bomb mechanics, the bombs are one of the only types of mechanics that is able to stun those PvE bosses. This skill, or this ability per se, has that opportunity to do so. So when you think about how strong this can be when you're talking about PvE, especially if you're thinking about incorporating some kind of unit that provides yourself specific, debuffs that you're looking for, maybe the opponent has it, you can use him essentially to mitigate those debuffs to put it back on the opposing team or the opposing unit. So this is definitely a big one to add as a +1 if you want to mess around with it on the PvE format. When it comes to PvP, we can make an argument for using it, but then again, its ability is based on a single target, right? It's a single target thing. So if you have another composition that's bringing in a lot of AoE CC effects, then you're probably going to have a little bit of an issue there. However, that being said, it's super strong. And since it has this mechanic that has, it's based on the amount of HP that we're rocking, we're going to incorporate a life steal step, which we're going to get into here in a little bit. Now, let's take a look at the rest of it, okay? If it gets below 70%, you get the own critical chance and attack. Now, the critical chance, the buff is a 15% critical rate bonus. The attack buff is going to be 50% buff, okay? Similar to like if you were to put on an attack buff. So that's a really good amount of stats that you're bringing. And if you have better glyphs, not the ones that I have, but if you have a little bit better glyphs, you could build them in such a way to where, he could do a decent amount of damage and get a lot of HP back so you can keep him alive, keep him at that 70% threshold, okay? Now, I just got done talking about all that. Let's take a look at the other skills, because you never know. You might actually want to use it for something other than the main thing, right? The second skill, single target attack that's going to prevent single target attack that's preventing them from reviving upon death and drains your HP for 3 turns. Drain is based on 100% of the attack. So again, even though we're running the lifesteal stat, we have another way of getting some of our HP back. Okay, it's based on the attack, and then of course, this is going to be a little bit more. This is going to be a little bit stronger due to the fact that we have, if we get a little bit low, if things are looking a little rusty, right? We're going to have that attack bonus here that's going to provide us even much more attack power in order to get a little bit more value out of this, okay? And the evolution that I got for this first skill here attacks the enemy and heals itself by 10%, okay? So 10% of my max HP. I'm looking at almost, what, a little bit over a 1k heal. Combine that with the lifesteal effect, okay? As far as lifesteal, with the way that I went, I mean, I think there's a couple of different types of builds you can go with, but due to the fact that this guy is heavily reliant on his main ability to be over 70%, I'm doing everything in my power to keep his health as high as possible, okay? As far as his stats across the board, we're running double speed. We're running double speed. We are running double defense, flat defense here, and then I'm running 1 flat attack and 1 flat HP. Now, obviously, when it comes to these 3 glyphs, these are some of my better lifesteal glyphs. I was at a point in the game where I was farming, just like you guys, in the Rat 10 dungeon. I was getting a ton of lifesteal glyphs, but I just haven't found a unit to use it. So after taking a look at this unit really hard, I was like, man, if I am trying to do some kind of stage, especially in like TOT, that can cause a little bit of trouble for some of those units that provide those AoE, harmful effects, especially on those boss stages. Something like this, I can essentially use his passive to provide those harmful effects that I'm looking for on specific units, and then I'll use his second skill to go ahead and prevent the healer or prevent the reviver or the reser from bringing them back, okay? So considering how this unit works, the things that he has in his kit, as well as the potential of his kit due to the fact of that crystalline veil or that mirror effect, I really do believe that this is definitely one of the most unique units in the game, and I'm really excited to showcase them in a future video here. So getting back to the stats again, we're running kind of a hybrid build. We're not going super high on HP. We're not going all in on the defense. My thought process on that was because of the fact that this skill, this drain ability, is 100% of your own attack. It's a fixated amount of drain, amount of heal that's going to be brought back to you. So if that is the case, why not incorporate a decent amount of effective HP by means of the defense, right? Get the defense a little bit higher. You can bring the HP a little bit lower and get a little bit more value out of this fixated amount of damage or fixated amount of drain, right? Again, we have a little bit of a heal on the first skill, and of course we're running the lifesteal set, so we're going to go ahead and have ourselves quite a bit of HP coming at us to keep ourselves above 70%. Now I am running a little bit of a faster set. I'm running 133 here. Again, it just kind of comes down to the glyphs that we have, but keep in mind that the value of his passive really comes from what they do to you versus what you do to them. But I still make an argument for making him relatively fast because, again, the more turns he gets, the more opportunities he gets to heal, which, of course, is what I want to do. I want to make sure that he is always above 70%. And then, of course, if something were to happen where that's not the case, I'm going to have the brought in, right, the self buff of the attack and the critical rate in order to give me even more damage to get me right back up there at 70%. So overall, this is a really great monster. I would love to have a little bit more accuracy and resistance to go ahead and check it. But after this past week of testing it on various stages across the board, his passive is extremely reliant, and it does an exceptional job if you have a specific stage where you don't have certain debuffs that you're trying to incorporate and you're getting a lot of harmful effects from your opponent. When it comes to PvP though, like we stated a little bit earlier, single target ability, but again, it's considering what people incorporate in their compositions, some of the Necros per se, the Fire Necro, the Earth Necro, all of those units have, 2, 3, or even 4 mechanics coming at you with an AoE attack. So while you can prevent those debuffs and put it back on a specific unit, it's not going to provide you a ton of value for the rest of your party. So that being said, if the other opponent doesn't really know what you're bringing, and maybe you're running a composition that has immunity, they don't have a stripper, then yes, you can go ahead and prevent what they're trying to bring to you and incorporate him to bring back some of the harmful effects on a unit. However, again, it's only single target, so it's only going to allow you to focus on one unit, crowd control him with whatever they're bringing, whether it's, like I said, the Necros is the one that kind of sticks to me, just due to the fact that it's pretty popular in the meta right now. So, but that being said, there are a couple of units, Nat 4 units, if you guys haven't checked them out, the Earth, Water, and the Air Faceless all have this mechanic built into their kit. The Earth Faceless, I would say, is probably the one that if you do have him, then you're in for a treat, because he actually has an AoE buff for this mirror ability. So if you are, super fast, you can get this buff up, and you see another composition that's heavily based on those debuffs, you can prevent that by putting, providing that buff and then allowing them to attack, and then of course those things will bounce back, and then you'll be sitting really good. Okay, so the only one outside of the Faceless is going to be the Earth Vampire. He also has a self buff that's going to provide that mirror effect. However, one thing to mention between all these other NAT4s, which what makes this unit even that much better, is all of those units, their chance of bouncing back those negative effects is 50%, whereas this unit here is a 100% chance to bounce back again. Kind of going back to what I was talking about, it's extremely reliant, despite the fact that I have little to no amount of accuracy and little to no resistance here. So really unique mechanic. Again, I'm a huge fan of this. If you guys have this unit, please let me know in the comment section down below. How did you build it? How did you incorporate it in the team? I'm really looking forward to hearing your feedback from this. This is probably going to be the first of many units that I'm looking to build. Let me know what you guys want to see. I'd love to do some kind of a new series where basically maybe once a week we showcase some new either 2 to 3 star creature, build him, test them out at 4-star max, so you guys can see some of the different types of units out there and how they can be incorporated in compositions for either PvE or PvP. Okay, that is going to be it, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. It's your boy Childish, ChildishPlays. Check it out. Take care, and we will see y'all in the next one. We're out.